Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at Puppet Portalcraft again. I do quite enjoy this deck. It does pretty well on ladder overall, and I've had some pretty decent success on and off again with Puppet Portal. It's just a reasonably consistent big beat stick deck as far as the end game goes. You really are just slapping Orcus and Liam to board and praying to God that that's enough to finish them off, because if it's not, you're typically not going to be closing out the game too easily, as those are kind of your big swing cards. Otherwise, you have really nice Sylvia tempo, Udi for some draw, Olivia for, again, just an extra bit of tempo. If you can't get double Orcus, Olivia Evo is really good. Otherwise, Olivia draw and heal is also just good, without even having to use the Evo on it. Otherwise, you've got pretty standard stuff in Medical and Noah, along with your Apollo Clear and your Love-Struck Puppeteer, Puppet Lancer, and Puppet Theater for the early Puppet engine to deal with a lot of those pesky aggro decks. We are running one Indomitable Fighter. It's enhanced, giving +3/+3. Does make it a pretty okay card to come out, and can actually combo okay with an Olivia if you absolutely need it to. Otherwise, Bellring is just bringing up the rear with a little bit of healing. So, well, a little bit of draw, sorry. Not healing. Either way, getting into it, we're going to take a look at this and check it out. Kicking off the Puppet shenanigans, we are going up against another Portalcraft deck. Portalcraft still very popular on ladder between both Puppet and Mecha. You've got two very solid decks that can kind of intermingle quite well. So I'm not surprised that you see a decent amount of that. Otherwise, you see a lot of Rune. Rune is pretty popular. But there's a little bit of variety. I mean, Forest is cheap, so you do see a lot of that at high ranks as well, as a lot of people have purely climbed with that deck. So we start off with a pretty easy Love-Struck Puppeteer, clearing out the 2/1 for basically free. You really just want to get as much value as you can in your early game while trying to keep your hand size reasonably high. That way, when you play things like Noah, you are just buffing yourself. But it does look like this is a Puppet Portal matchup. Very common, as I said. It's what you'll see a lot of. I believe we actually have two of these for this video, as Puppet Portal, again, being very popular, has popped up a lot in my matches, and these are some of the better matches to show off the end game of the deck. So 0-2 Bellringer and 2-2 on board ain't a bad way to go early on. Ruby's just a solid card all around. It frees up some hand space while also drawing a card and developing a body. That's why I'm seeing it a lot in a lot of decks now. Sega for the Medical Puppeteer. Really no threat to me here. I do want to answer it though reasonably soon, so it's not a bad way to go with the Medical of our own. Especially as we begin to overflow our hand with too many cards, we do want to be careful of that. It's not something we want to have to deal with too much, unfortunately. So they end up just throwing a bunch of stuff to board. We're just kind of biding our time here. We've actually got a pretty decent setup, so using Noah now to gain as much value on these enhanced puppets as I can. We're just trying to generate, again, more value. We do need to get some face damage in though, so we do send the early Evo to the Noah. Thinking back on it, I think this game is reasonably close too.
It will be over soon. Scalpel.
But another Medical Puppet comes down. Not really what I like to see there, but hey, what can you do? So we do end up going for the Olivia. I do make a little bit of an error here probably. It might have been better off not Oliviaing this with the Evo, but at the same time, threatening more damage and getting a little damage in isn't necessarily bad. I just think I could have handled that a little bit better, considering we're going to Orcus on turn 8 and we do want to Super Evo that. Because conserving Super Evos definitely feel like the way to go for the most part, so maybe I should have just used a couple extra puppets and cleaned up instead. So we do see the Udi come down. Not really doing anything though, which is good for us, because it means our Orcus play now is effectively just maximized damage. We are only just short a little bit. If we have one more play point, we could have dropped the extra enhanced, but dropping the extra normal puppet is still pretty solid here. It is going to let us get a lot of damage in really quickly, getting a full 10 damage off that one swing. But we would have been better off if I could have Orcused again next turn with the extra Super Evo. Unfortunately, missing out on that did cost us big here, as I probably could have pulled off lethal again if I had have done it that way. A little disappointing, but hey, you live and you learn. So we do now have to kind of clean these up, especially if we're going into turn 10. So I do just drop the Orcus again. Just a normal Orcus play here with a normal puppet. They both get Bane here, so why not? It's a pretty free way to clean up. And then I go for the extra damage as well while we're at it. Since we are just going to drop Craze Liam, and that is 6 damage, so we want to keep him in our lethal range for next turn, as this is basically our only way to end the game at this point. Fortunately, them just dumping an Orchestra board really is just enough for us to be able to swing with Liam for game. Giving us more than enough option here. So we throw the Liam, we go for its evo effect, giving all these puppets 2 damage to face. So all we have to do is swing them in, and that will close out our game. Very, very close.
I won't give up.
Next up, we have some Forestcraft. Forestcraft, always a fun one. Drive me up the wall with their roach combos. Sometimes they can't kill you, sometimes they can. It's usually a loot bag of, hey, did you get the nuts? Did you not get the nuts? It really is that simple. Forestcraft. Definitely has a high skill ceiling for being able to maximize your plays. Not something I'm super fond of myself, unfortunately. And I imagine it's also going to become a problem to balance long term, so I hope we don't see too many more bounce cards, especially cheap cards. Because that could just break that deck early on. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I would actually prefer, I think, to see more control-y cards off from Forest. Lean more into the control aspect of Forestcraft. Could be cool, but this is where Indomitable Fighter gets to come down really nicely here as a 5/5. It's just a really solid card. You don't really want more than 1 or 2 of it at maximum, because then it does kind of clog up your hands in later rounds, but it provides good pressure in these situations, so you can kind of get some nice value out of it like we're going to here. Because they were just off from being able to clear this because they didn't set up their combo correctly. And we're going to take full advantage of that, maximizing our damage with the Evo point, taking the 7-3 to the face, and just clearing out the rest of the board. Because right now, we want to get as much damage as we can so that when we Orcust, we are winning the game. Because that's where we can really come off well here. So that time they don't mess up the Lily and they get it. Unfortunate, but hey, what are you going to do? We have a turn 6 play now. Luckily we do have Sylvia, and drawing a couple of cards doesn't seem like it will hurt. We can even just send its normal evo effect, killing off the 3/5 for free, and then taking the 1/1 down with us. Leaving us with a 7-6 on board. Really good going into next turn, and we can even play the even more aggressive play with the Olivia next turn. Since we are looking at an Orcus closeout very early, and I don't expect them to heal very quickly. So they do prioritize the Super Evo here. An interesting choice for sure. Unfortunately, we don't have quite enough here to win the game just off this 7-drop. It's kind of unfortunate, I wish we did, but the healing should at least keep us reasonably out of the death range, hopefully. Now that we know they do have a Roach and they have 1 more Super Evo point. Definitely a risky one, but not much we can do about it, as all we can do is play as much damage to board, get that little bit of healing, and hope that it's going to be enough, because Orcus turn 8 should close out game almost no matter what at this point. It'll be very hard for us not to win off Orcus, but they see that, they end up conceding. I guess, you know, hey. Forest does typically have a lot of trouble dealing with really big boards, so I'm not too surprised that they do end up just conceding that at the end there. When you've got that much damage on board with that much health, there's not a lot of good ways to clear. So I do throw away a couple of our mid and high game cards here. We're mostly trying to find those Orcus semi-early. I like to kind of hold at least 1 in hand early game so that I can guarantee have 1 by turn 8. Fortunately for us, we're not really facing too much here. This puppet player, not really doing anything early. They do have the nice Orcus though. I do wish I had the alt leader for that. We are getting close, put it that way. I think I'm somewhere in like 30 or less packs from that lucky chest. We'll see what we get out of that hopefully in the coming weeks. Ruby, gonna come down. Not really doing too much with it now. We have double Orcus, so we're kind of just biding our time. We do want to try and develop our board a little bit though. as we do want to be able to maximize our damage, so being able to get as much as we can early is going to be big, especially with this Noah. Noah can come down turn 5 for us if we need to. Otherwise, we may just have to play for the damage here, but that's a nice pickup actually. With the Evo, we are able to kill this now by just using 2 puppets. That does allow us to keep both our bodies at full health and get the 2 damage to face that we want. This should let us get a little bit of damage in early before the Orcus plays and the Noah plays can really take effect. Like I said, Noah will probably come down next turn. Might even throw an Evo on it for good measure. They're just going for all their artifacts play. So I initially thought this was just going to be a puppet matchup, but it looks like it was actually a artifact fit deck, which does still run some early puppet cards, as they are just good control cards for the early game, and they do run Orcus because it's just an insane turn 8 card. Why wouldn't you run the insane turn 8 card?
We'll be over soon.
So we go for the enhance there, get our puppets out. I end up not using the Noah. I end up just deciding to go that way and clear. We had to use the point anyway because it does reset next turn, so hey, that's fine. Plus, it lets our Noah just kind of sit for a minute. So I do end up just throwing the Noah. We get the buffs. We end up just sacking a bunch of cards. I actually should have played 2 of these puppets so I don't overdraw, since we were going to gain a puppet anyway. If I hadn't realized that, I probably wouldn't have done what I just did there. As all I did was sack a 2/1 puppet.
Let's do this together.
But that's okay. They are going to have to spend a little bit dealing with this, which is good for us. And next turn, they are facing down an Orcus turn 7 play. So we get the Orcus play. Again, maximize value against this Udi, so this should be an easy 10 damage play. Leaving them on just 8 health again, but this time we haven't used our extra Super Evo, so we should have a pretty easy time. They will have to find a way to remove this, which should cost them their entire turn. Yep, the Orcus play, as I expected, would cost them their entire turn here, which will allow us to just Orcus in retaliation and win the game. It's nice when you're going second and you're able to use that extra play point for the Orcus on turn 7, forcing them to do the same so that you can then respond with double Orcus to win the game. Definitely the nicest way to win with this deck. And it's always a lot of fun, and yep, there's the concede as soon as the Orcus gets played. So, while Portal in general isn't my most played craft, that would go to either Dragon or Rune at this point, I think. It's still a lot of fun. I think Portal has a place. Both archetypes are doing very well at the moment, especially Artifact with the Orcus combo, and then Puppets is just, it's reasonably cheap. You don't have to run 3 Udi, you don't have to run 3 Olivia. You can make do with like 1 and 1 and then just mess around with some other cards. It's really not a big deal to go, you know, cheaper on this. The only real card that's important is Orcus, and you can run that in both Artifact and Puppet Portal, so really good deck. Really enjoy it. We'll probably end up playing more of this, especially if I can do well with it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, see you then.